This webinar is being recorded. Hello and welcome to our webinar, IRA Strategy, an Advanced Guide to Retirement Planning and Private Banking. This webinar is part of Northwest's Financial Wellness Series. My name is Denise Kitchen, and I'm one of the relationship managers of the company partner program. Our department manages the relationships that the credit union has with other organizations so that they can offer credit union membership as part of their benefits package to their employees, members, and volunteers. First of all, thank you so much for your interest in our webinar today. Secondly, I'd like to go over some housekeeping items. Everyone is muted, and we ask that you hold your questions until the end of the presentation, and then ask them via the Q&A feature, which you will find on that top part of the taskbar. If you don't want to share your questions here, that is quite all right. Our email addresses will be displayed at the end, and you can pose them via email. Please make sure that you use your reactions button. That's also right there up in that top toolbar to let us know how we're doing throughout the presentation. All right. Also, we will be raffling off a $25 Visa gift card after our Q&A session at the very, very end. So please make sure that you stay tuned all the way through. Now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Joanna Wilbur, IRA Trust and Estate Account Manager, and Chris Greenhill, our Private Relationship Manager. Joanna is going to start us off today. Hey, guys. Joanna, please take it away.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me today to talk about some other aspects of IRAs. So some folks may know that some laws were changed as far as IRAs, RMDs, that sort of thing. We're going to touch briefly on those today. So let's go to the next slide. So the Secure Act, this is the law that we were talking about. One of the things that changed with the Secure Act 0.20 is that we have a change in the required minimum distributions. Used to be age 70, then it went to age 72. Now it's going to be age 73. 75 come the year 2033. We also now, and this is a big deal, we have lower penalties for missing an RMD payment. It used to be 50%, now it's 25%. Plus, they also got rid of the 6% excess contribution penalty. So that was important. Also, 529 plans. 529 plans, let's say you have a child or grandchild, you've done 529 plan contributions, and it turns out they don't need the money, they don't want to go to college or something like that. You can now roll up to $35,000 of that 529 plan into a Roth IRA. So that's an interesting benefit that you have. That's a lifetime limit. But the 529 plan must have been open for at least 15 years. And the big deal that was changed is that in 2024, it used to be that when you were a beneficiary of an IRA, that you had the ability to make that IRA distribution over your life expectancy if you were the beneficiary. So that means that, let's say, my grandmother would give me, she made me the beneficiary of her IRA, she passed away. And then when it came time for me to take the money out, I could take that money out over my life expectancy, whether I was 20, 10, or 35. It didn't matter. Okay, so it would be over my life expectancy. In 2020, that changed. And what changed is that you needed to take the funds out within 10 years. Okay, so did that mean 10 years starting from the date of death? Or as long as after 10 years after that date of death, I took the money out? Also, what happened if I wasn't, what if I was 20 years old? What if I was 18? What if I was under the age of 18? What would happen? Those rules and regulations were not thought about when they just made that. So Some people would take their RMD throughout the time. Some people would take funds off of that beneficiary IRA once in a while. All right. So it was very convoluted. People weren't sure who was on first. Is this supposed to be done or is that supposed to be done? So what occurred in July of 2024 is that the IRS came out with the implementation of how the beneficiary IRA had to be dispersed. Could I have next slide, please? So we also have, like I said, we have the increase to age 73. You have until age 73 to take the RMD out of a traditional IRA or SEP IRA or 401k plan if you're no longer working at that company. Once you turn age 73, you have until April 1st after that year to take your first distribution out of that traditional IRA. If you don't do that, remember we talked about the fact that there's a penalty. It's 25% of the RMD that you were supposed to have taken out, and you pay the taxes on those funds. Next slide, please. So, like I was talking about, the IRS ends the confusion over the inherited IRA. So 2.0 talked about the 10-year rule that specified that you had to take the money out within 10 years. However, it didn't tell you how to do it. Was it at the end of the 10 years? Did you have to take out the death RMD? Which one? Some people were doing it one way. Some people were doing it another. Would you be charged a penalty? Would you have to pay taxes? What was going to happen? So in July of 2024, the IRS finally answered this question. And the bottom line is that if you are a non-spousal beneficiary, you must fully deplete the funds in an inherited IRA within 10 years. And starting in 2025, most people have to start taking out what they call the death RMD, take out the taxable RMDs from their inherited IRAs. Some people were just waiting until that 10th year after death, or some folks were taking a little bit of money here 1 year, maybe they'd skip a year and do something else 2 years later. Well, that's no good anymore. Now you have to start taking that money out over that 10-year period. And in that 10th year, that RMD, that IRA now must be depleted. Let's go on to the next slide. So who won't be affected by the changes to this 10-year rule? So that would be the surviving spouse, a child under the age of 21, people with disabilities, people who are chronically ill, people who are not more than 10 years younger than the account holder. So that means, for example, if I had my sibling as my beneficiary, that person then could still take their RMD over their life expectancy, as opposed to 10-year rule. If you have an inherited IRA from someone who is not yet required to take the RMD, remember this RMD rule has to do with, is the person over age 73 or under age 73? All right. So you'll have a little bit more flexibility. You can still make withdrawals at any time during that 10-year period. However, you're still going to have to take out, all right, that full IRA within the 10 years. That's the most important thing that people have to understand. If that IRA is $100,000 or $1 million or $10, all the money must be dispersed from that inherited IRA by the 10th year of death of the IRA original owner. Okay, so next slide, please. So what does this mean for you? All right, so what are the things that you might want to think about as far as putting these funds away? You will have to take out the RMD. I mean, uncle is always going to get his money first. But what are some options that you might have? You could put the funds into a trust. You make the trust your beneficiary. You could have insurance policies. You could do a Roth conversion. Remember, this is for traditional IRAs, okay? And traditional IRAs have RMDs. Roth IRAs don't. So before you passing on, what you would do maybe is start moving some of your funds from a traditional IRA or 401k plan into a Roth. You have to pay those taxes up front, but you are, however, allowed to move that money over. So when the person who has inherited that IRA, when it comes to dispersing those funds, you don't have to pay the taxes on those funds that are in a Roth IRA. Changing the types of beneficiaries. Maybe you want to make it into, a non-taxable entity like a charity, or, like I said, a trust. You could make it to someone who is closer to your own age, a sibling, that sort of thing. So these are some of the strategies that you might use in order to prevent that very large, what could be a very large tax burden for someone. Because especially for folks who have kids, let's say you are 60 years old, you're 35 years old, you're 50 years old, your grandmother leaves you a $200,000 IRA. Now, in your highest earning years, you need to start taking that RMD throughout that 10-year period. That can make the taxable burden to that beneficiary very substantial. So these are some options that you may have in order to avoid these adverse tax consequences. Next slide, please. So the winning game, what's on the horizon and how to plan your next move. Folks here at the credit union can help you with that. I can help you with that. My staff can. And also our crack private banking person, Christopher Greenhill. And I'm going to turn that over to him, the next thing that we have going on with Chris.
All right. Thank you so much, Joanna. Excuse me. So yes, so I'm the private relationship manager here at Northwest. And for those who aren't familiar with what private banking is, it's providing our members concierge service. Basically, I serve as their primary point of contact to address any questions that they have, addressing their financial goals or even some of the challenges they are experiencing to help them overcome them to reach their goals. So I work with a team here to ensure that the information and the resources that you need is really available to you. What I'm not is I'm not a financial advisor, but I have great advisors on my team. So if that is a need where you need to look at some of those services, that is someone who I would bring in. I've been working with members for over 15 years to save for retirement, plan for college, purchase homes, vehicles, and protecting what's most important to them. Joanna shared some great insights about the changes that have occurred and how these changes will impact or may impact you. What I do, I work with members by taking the time to get to know you and your situation to determine how this applies to you. Life, throws us curveballs, and at times, sometimes they can't be avoided, and sometimes they can. And we'll do our best to help you prepare and adjust to whatever may be coming down the line. I get a lot of questions from people, and a lot of variety of questions, like, should I have a trust? What type of trust should I have? How should I retitle my accounts? I have insurance policies that I've had for forever. Am I paying too much? Do I still need them? Am I overinsured? How do I get the ball rolling on setting up a Roth so I can take advantage of Roth conversions? My family is growing and changing. How do I set up my accounts to ensure that they're taken care of if something happens to me? And the list just goes on and on. I'm privileged to work, excuse me, with a lot of great people here at the credit union that really know their stuff, and share the same passion to see people succeed financially. Once we help you with your plan, I work with you to really ensure that you stay on course, and so that we can kind of pivot as situations change. Um, like most services here at the credit union, there's no cost for members to work with me in private banking, but there are qualifications for private banking. The qualifications to be a private relationship member is you need to have at least 250,000 on deposit with us, either in savings or your retirement accounts, or certificates, or a combination of the three. But even if you don't have those assets, don't worry. We'll still make sure that you have everything that you need to succeed financially. It's important to know, that it's not just about what's going on in the market and that policies are changing, but how these changes are impacting you. So it's important to work with people such as myself and Joanna and our team to really make sure that you're on the right path and that you're aware of some of the changes that are taking place and how you can strategically position yourself to either take advantage or avoid some things that can really deplete your savings. So, I appreciate you all taking the time to join us and learn about retirement services and some of the more advanced conceptual ways you can look at retirement. But I also wanted to address some of you who may not be members of Northwest, and tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do. We've been serving our community and members for over 75 years now, and we're headquartered right here in Herndon, Virginia. And not just in Virginia, we service members all over the United States. We're one of the largest credit unions in Virginia, and we have locations in Arlington, Chantilly, Gainesville, Herndon, Leesburg, Manassas, McLean, Middleburg, one Loudoun, Rockville, Maryland, and Vienna. And we're hoping to expand even more. We currently help over 250,000 members as it stands now, with a little over 600 passionate employees, making it happen. Our goal is to be your lifetime financial partner. So whatever the reason is for you to join the credit union, we want to be there for you today and for the years to come. And we don't just talk about supporting our community. We actually really do live out those values. Another way we show our heart for the community is that we encourage our employees here to volunteer in the community. Our company really has a big focus on that by giving all of us 24 hours of volunteer time to go out in the community to make a difference. So not only do we support with our time, Northwest supports monetarily. So we're donating over 100,000 to support community through a lot of various efforts. Northwest is also one of the leading name sponsors in the Children's Science Center Museum that we'll hope to see here in the coming years. I know that they'll be breaking ground here shortly, so you'll see that. But that's going to be a great opportunity for us to further give back to our community. So we're also looking to expand financial literacy in our local schools to make sure we're educating our youth and making sure that they're prepared to avoid some financial pitfalls. So I say all of this for one reason. And all of this giving back is not going to show up on your bank statement, right? But I just wanted to highlight that besides having a great bank like Northwest that you can work with, you can also know that your financial institution actually cares about you in the communities that you live in. So if you're not a member, this is a great opportunity to join us. There are many ways that you can become a member. You can and take advantage of all the services that we provide, while also knowing that your membership with us allows us to give back to the community, as well as provide you great competitive services. So here's the web address where you can become a member of Northwest. It's nwfcu.org/membership. So you can join directly through this website, or you can visit one of our many locations. You can reach out to myself or Denise as well, and we can get you taken care of. I even walk you through how to get that set. So this is our website here. You can log right into the site, click on become a member, select an application, and it's 5 simple steps to join. We'll say it only takes about 10 minutes to become a member here at Northwest. Also, we have a great app. So you can search and download our Northwest app, and you can actually register and become a member directly through our app as well. So this is our team today, just 3 of our over 600 employees. And my team works directly with companies to bring really bring banking outside of these walls here at the bank, and to make our services available to you. So we talked a lot about retirement today, but we also cover a diverse range of other financial topics, from purchasing a home, buying a car, managing debt, and even more. So continue to look out for a lot of financial literacy and opportunities for you to learn more about how you can position yourself financially as well. So while we mostly are still doing webinars, hopefully we'll have opportunity to do some of these in person and maybe come out to the companies that maybe you work at. So I'll turn this back over to Denise to wrap us up for today.
Sounds good. Thank you guys so much. Again, really great and valuable information for everyone. So now it is time for those of you who have joined us today to ask your questions. And like I said in the beginning, you can do that by opening up that Q&A feature, which is on the top of your toolbar, and you can go ahead and type your questions in there. You can also use the chat feature, but it's just easier for us to see when you type something into the Q&A. So if you want to get your typing fingers ready and let us know what your questions are. But in the meanwhile, we also received some questions beforehand. So let me see what those were. And then maybe our experts here can answer those in the meanwhile until people are ready to ask them. All right, sounds good. So one of the questions we received is, what amount do you need to have with Northwest to qualify for PRM? I believe you answered that already.
So the amount you need to be a private relationship member is you need to have at least 250,000 on deposit here with me. When you have that amount, like I said, it doesn't have to be all be in one account. It could be a combination of multiple accounts that you have with us. So if you've been putting money aside and saving for goals like homes and education and things of that nature, these are opportunities where I can work with you and make sure that you're meeting those goals and getting the most out of your relationship here with us.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Chris. Another question I received. Let me make sure we haven't gotten any. No. If I have both a traditional and Roth 401k, can I roll both of them over to a Roth?
Traditional IRA, you cannot roll it into a Roth. You can do a conversion into a Roth. That's a taxable event. If you have a Roth 401k, then you can roll that into a Roth IRA.
Excellent. All right. Hang on. All right. Got a couple of questions here. I think he said, as in you, Chris, that the services are free with you. Does that include creating a trust?
So I work with, like I said, I have a team here that can help service trust, and make sure that you have the right information in terms of what type of trust you should possibly be considering getting. But we don't create trust for you. We don't write or draft trust for you. But we do have a trust team that we work with here that will give you good advice around the trust, either that you currently have or to help administer the trust that you have. So I hope that answers your question.
You'll need to go to a lawyer to have
Yeah.
the trust document actually drawn up.
Absolutely.
All right, another question. So the title of the seminar is IRA Strategies. We specifically would like to know the process strategy to convert TSP into Roth IRAs, and what are the types of investments available for a Roth IRA, i.e. stock, money market, etc.
Okay, so the way this would work would be like that. Well, would be like this. First of all, we are a credit union.
Yep.
Credit unions by law cannot offer stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. However, we happen to have someone on the call who would be able to probably lead you in that direction.
Yeah.
But the way that you convert the TSP into a Roth IRA, the first thing you need to do is open up that Roth IRA. Once that Roth IRA is open, then you will go to the TSP, to their website, and you will fill out the paperwork that TSP has. You will say that you want to convert X number of dollars. You can do the whole thing, but remember, when you do a Roth conversion, you are taxed in the year that you do the conversion. So let's say you have $100,000 or $250,000. You convert that entire TSP into a Roth in, say, tax year 2025, you're going to pay taxes on $250,000. So what a lot of folks do is they do something called an incremental conversion, okay? And what that means is that, let's say that $250,000. So one year they might talk with their tax advisor and say, you know what, if you take out 10, 15, or $20,000, you'll get X number of dollars taxed. Okay, great. All right. So fine. I'm going to move over that $10 or $15,000 this year. I'll put it into the Roth. I've converted it. When I go to pay my taxes, I will then pay taxes on that $10 or $15 or $20,000. Then the next year, I'll do another conversion. I'll do another dollar figure. Over time, that's how you can get it done. You're always welcome to roll that money, convert all that money at one time into a Roth IRA. That's great, but you will pay taxes on that. And something else that folks need to remember, think about this. If you are over age 65 and you want to do a Roth conversion, that's fine. There is no age limit, but there is a caveat. And the caveat is this. When you do a Roth conversion, you are taxed at your thrift savings plan. You are taxed at your ordinary income rate. What that means is that if you're over age 65 and you have Medicare, that goes into the calculation for your Medicare premium. Okay? That is a big, fat, hairy deal if you're converting a lot of money. And remember, there's a 2-year look back period. Okay? 2-year look back. What that means is if Joanna I'm 65 now. If I decide 2 years from now to do a conversion of my 401k plan that I have here at the credit union into a Roth IRA, and let's say it's like, oh, I'm feeling kind of splivvy. I'm going to convert over 30K. Yes, I am. Watch me now. Okay. Fabulous. Pay my taxes on $30,000. Great. Lovely. I'm going to get a bill 2 years from 2027. I will get a bill. And my Medicare premium is now going to be more. So it's not that you can't. It's a matter of looking at all of the consequences of your actions. And that's what Chris and I are here for. We can help you think about some things that maybe folks have not really thought about. So people might ask, is this a good idea? Is this a good idea to convert my Roth? Well, for a lot of people, it is. Okay. For a lot of people, it is. It could be. But you have to remember what the consequences are. And depending upon what you have going on in your life, depending upon how old you are, okay, that's what makes the difference. It's not whether it's good or bad, it's whether it is appropriate for you.
That's right.
What's the next question?
Hope that answers that question. Next question is from Nancy. Do you help members with tax strategies for retirement accounts? If not, is there a specific type of tax specialist who does this?
We cannot give tax advice. As I said last week, we are not tax advisors, nor do we play one on TV. What you want is a CPA, you want an accountant, you want H&R Block. I mean,
Right.
we can give you general parameters about things, but we can't actually look at your tax life and say,
Right.
you should do this, you
This.
should do that. That
Right.
is not us. That would be advisors and some, CFP, certified financial planners. They could
Mhm.
help you with that sort of thing, but that is out of our purview.
Awesome. Next question.
right.
Please let me know if we are allowed to move the unused 529 plan to a Roth IRA. There was a discussion about it.
$35,000 is the max. That's all you can do. 35K. So if you have more than that, the rest of the money can either go to other people under the age of 18,
Mhm.
other children. You can use it for your own, education for yourself. You can also, just take the money and run. And depending upon the age, and remember, you have till
Yeah.
age 30. You have until age
That's
30.
right.
So, there's still hope. And remember, it's all different kinds of, auxiliary education. It's not just college. It can also
Right.
be trade school. It can be
Yeah.
getting Microsoft certifications. It can be getting certifications for HAVVAC. There's all kinds of things, okay?
Yes.
All kinds of things that you can use that money for in your life.
I think Angela
Right.
liked that answer.
Yeah.
We got some little fireballs there. I love it.
That's
All
right.
right. Next question. Does the new rule for Secure 2.0 affect this income tax year 2025 or the income tax year in 2024 or 2025?
Cheers.
Depends on what we're talking about here. If we're talking
Right.
about that RMD rule,
Mhm.
if you didn't take your RMD the way you were supposed to in 2024, no harm, no foul. It is now going forward, 2025 going forward.
That's right.
Excellent. All right, we got a couple more questions in the Q&A. Hold on. We are still a little confused as to what type of investment are in Roth IRAs. It is not just cash, right? So I think this
Okay,
is where the
so
confusion
at
is
this,
between investment IRAs and banking
okay, so
IRAs. Yeah.
at this institution, at this credit unions by law can only offer savings things like certificates of deposit or savings accounts. In
Right.
a Roth IRA, you can have any type of investment vehicle. You can have stocks, you can have bonds, you can have EFTs, you can have gold,
Right.
you can have all kinds of things.
Right.
However, at this institution, by law, we cannot offer those. So you would go to a brokerage house, you would go to, our service
Northwest
organization,
Financial
Northwest
Advisors.
Financial, that sort of thing. Yes, you can set up an IRA anytime that you are working. And
Yes.
that's
So
exactly what you
yes,
want
we
to
can
do.
do it.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
That's funny. Joanna is answering questions on the fly here.
Yeah.
So Linda, I hope that answers your question. So there are two different types of IRAs. There is the banking IRA, which is what Joanna can help you with. And then there's the investment IRAs. And we don't do those at Northwest Federal Credit Union, but we do have Capital Management Group, which is an investment department. And Chris would be able to put you in touch with someone there to talk specifically
Right.
about those. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Next questions. Medicare premium is calculated at 65 with a 2-year look back. If you convert your TSP later, does Medicare look back often or just the one time when it creates your premium?
Always, every
Always.
year, as
Okay.
long as you're breathing, every time,
They want
at the end of each year, money, 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 money.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
They're always looking.
Always.
All right. Next question. Does Secure Act's 10-year withdrawal rule apply if IRA was inherited previously? And second part of the question, can non-spouse IRA beneficiaries convert inherited traditional IRAs to a Roth IRA?
No.
So
The last
required.
part, no, you can't
Yeah.
convert. So you cannot convert
Questions.
something that is, let's say, a traditional IRA inherited into a Roth
Right.
inherited. Nope, it is what it is, and there the
Yep.
twain shall meet.
That's it.
The 2.0, tell me the beginning part of the question again now.
Says Does Secure Act's 10-year withdrawal rule apply if the IRA was inherited previously?
Okay, so if it was inherited prior to January 1st, 2020, Secure Act does not have any bearing. If you inherited that IRA after January 1st, 2020, the Secure Act does hold sway.
Awesome. All right, Stephanie, I see a lot of questions from you. Let me go to someone else's questions first. It may be better if you and Joanna kind of connect on the side to ask more questions. If we have time this time around, I will get to your other questions, but let me address Pam's question first. I have multiple IRAs, SEP and regular, that I would like advice on consolidation. I also would qualify for the PMB. Who would I contact?
Chris.
That one's easy.
That would be me.
All right, so you have
Contact
Chris's
information's
contact
there.
information
Just
there.
reach out to me.
Excellent. All right, hang on, let me see. All right, Stephanie, let me go back to the chat real quick and see if we have any more questions here. Can you set up an IRA at any time if you are still working?
Yes, and you should desperately. It all depends on what kind would be best for you. And remember, here at this credit union, at all credit unions actually, the IRAs at a credit union are going to be in either certificates of deposit or IRA savings. If you would like to have an IRA that is also in the market, okay, then you would go to either our Northwest Financial folks, or, you'd go to, a mutual fund, Fidelity, Vanguard, that sort of thing.
Okay. Sounds good.
And you can have both. You can have your IRA, some of your money in an IRA in the market and you can also have an IRA here with us. It's just that you can't put the same dollar figure in each. So you can't put $7,000 or $8,000 in the IRA over in the market and at the same year put $7,000, $8,000 over into us. You would probably split that money up and then do it that way.
It's not per account, it's total.
Yep.